Okay, everybody, this is Brian Ellsworth. As you know, they call me Coach, and I'm excited because I've got three brothers that have an athletic background, three brothers that are entrepreneurs. And guys, I'm here to tell you that they found a way to work together, which is probably a miracle in and of itself. I don't know about you, but family members working together. And also, you're going to learn that dad is kind of at the top of the structure there. Probably comes with some interesting conversations. But that being said, I want to introduce you to Stan, Cam, and Thad Weir. Now, my knowledge of them really comes from Stan. I mean, I kind of watched him move on from in high school. I actually watched him play at Nichols. I watched these guys win a federation. I also watched him go back to, I believe, play with his brother at East Aurora, and they did some great things. And my understanding is Thad went on to, St. John Fisher, was a two-sport athlete. And I'm here to tell you, as you guys know, I've been coaching high school basketball over 2 decades. And that is something that impresses me. I find that athletes have the ability, in many cases, to transition into entrepreneurship and be successful because there's a lot of skill sets that you learn in sports. If you've been listening to me, you might be a coach, you might be an athlete, you might be a business owner. You want to tune into these three guys because I believe success leaves clues. And these three are going to give you a lot of clues. So if you will, gentlemen, I'm going to kind of go around the horn at the boxes here and talk to you guys a little bit. If you would, just give us an idea of your background. I'm excited to have a conversation with you guys. We'll just kind of go around to each one of the brothers, your background, maybe what your passion is and why you're excited about business and entrepreneurship. We'll go ahead and start with Stan. I know Stan is our AI guy.
So I primarily my pursuit early on was becoming a Division I basketball player. I achieved that, got a scholarship to University of Buffalo, ended up having 4 knee operations in 4 years, which cut my career short. Transitioned into coaching, which was fine. It was great. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to do from the time I was in 5th grade. I knew what I wanted to do. But afterwards, it was just I had certain goals I wanted to hit financially by the time I was 30 to be able to support a family the way I wanted to, and just didn't take off as quickly as I wanted to. So I ended up working with my father on and off over the years. He's been a lifelong entrepreneur, and it's been great. It's been a dream come true, especially given the opportunity to work with these guys and talk to them on a daily basis. And the last couple of years has been my pursuit in AI, which has all been primarily self-taught and also bouncing ideas off of fellow like computer science engineers who are on the back end of the companies that we work with.
Awesome. What about you, Thad?
Yeah. So first off, amen to what you said about athletics transferring over to business, because I really do think that people learn a lot from playing sports. It teaches you so many great lessons, especially about yourself, and transferring that into the business world as far as competing and being willing to go for more when, you don't see a way out initially. I think those are big traits that carry over into business. But a little background on me. I actually got to play 2 years of varsity basketball with Stan when he was in 8th and 9th grade. So Stan got to play with both of us in high school, which was very cool. But as far as my athletic background, I went to St. John Fisher College, graduated there with an economics degree. I was the 2-sport athlete of the year in golf and basketball. And immediately after college, I went to play professional golf and lived in South Carolina. Wow. I won a mini tour event with a score of 11 under in the swing thought. Yeah, to over 2 rounds. And then the highest tour I got up to was the PGA Tour of Canada. But after 2.5 years, I ran out of money, essentially quit on myself, and I regret it to this day. But it led to my next chapter was Elliott Beach Rentals. It was a vacation rental industry where I spent the last 5 years of that career transforming the property upgrade division. And essentially my job was to entice owners to make upgrades to their condos so that they could in turn make more revenue.
Nice.
It was a very successful program. Over the 5, I took it over. It was bringing in about $250,000 to the company. In the last 2 years, when I left, it was $950,000 each year. The last 2 years, so I really brought it up. That program is still around today, and I'm proud to have been a part of it. But that leads to the last 18 months, which has been working at Acutus Financial with my brothers and my dad. And my main role there is sort of general management and like Cam and Stan. We work together on daily objectives every day. How are we going to advance the ball down the field today, as well as working with my dad, who is still distilling knowledge from his career as a stockbroker, an entrepreneur, and in all these other areas. Sales, I think, is his like where he really excels. And now we're putting that into a course, and we're going to be very excited when it launches, which it shouldn't be too far off.
Love it. Cam.
Yeah, so I was actually able to play basketball at Stan as well. Thad got him when he was younger, and I played with him my junior year when it was Stan's senior year. We had a great year. It was a lot of fun. But what I found out athletically was that, I wasn't going nearly as far as these guys were. So I found out that college sports weren't for me. Professional sports weren't for me. So I I stayed in school a little longer. I got a master's in economics from UB. Doing that, I learned how to value assets, regardless if it's, I went to value stocks, and then after college, I got a job valuing real estate at a local real estate investment trust. And as I was at that job, I said, hey, now that I know how to slap a value on something, and it's, I'm getting pretty good at it, I'm like, let's start buying some properties myself and start managing them and learning the landlord game. And I started doing that, and it was, I'll tell you, it's a lot of learning experience. But at the end of the day, I started at 26. I'm 30 now. And in the last 4 years, I went from, $0 of passive income a month to right now I'm at 5,000 after mortgages paid.
Nice.
So I'm trying to replace my job income with something that makes money while I sleep.
For you.
And that's the quest. And then after Arbor, the real estate investment trust, I was there for 2 years. And then, like Thad was saying, 18 months ago, came on here. I'm, now with Acutus, I'm essentially our real estate guy. And I started kind of putting out that message in the last few weeks. So it's been a big adjustment, a lot to learn. A startup like this is very, you wear more hats than you do at a job at a place like Arbor that's more established and more, your job is more, the path is well worn, whereas like here we're kind of learning, we're learning a lot, and it's been a lot of fun though. And that's what brings me up to today.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. In 4 years, you've been able to build 5,000 a month in positive cash flow. Let me ask you this, because I don't want to gloss over that.
Sure.
How were you able to do that?
So my main strategy, I am a single dude, so it's very easy to move a lot, right? So what I've done the last 4 years is I'll put 5% down on a house. And this is an oversimplification. The first house was 15, but I basically put down 5%. I live in it for a year, make any repairs that are necessary, buy another one, and buy another one, and buy another one. I've moved 4 times in 4 years. And that's how I was able to get in the houses. And then in terms of the 5,000, that's where the asset valuation stuff from my past job helped me out. I essentially have a system that tells you, what's my cash flow and is it safe? And if both things check out, if you got good cash flow and the asset's not entirely risky, you can be, reasonably confident that your cash flows are going to come in on a repeatable basis. And that's what, gives me the confidence to pull the trigger. And that's what's got me to the 0 to 5,000. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been some late nights, like doing repairs and late night calls and stuff, but it's all worth it at the end of the day. And I hope one day, instead of 4 houses, I hope it's 40 or 50 or 100,
I hope it is for you as well. I mean, that's phenomenal. When you take a look at it, I mean, I often tell people, entrepreneurship's not easy. You got to have a risk tolerance. You got to be able to learn on the fly. And I tell people probably one of the most undervalued pieces of advice to an entrepreneur is you got to figure out a way to get in the room. And what do I mean by that? You got to get into rooms with people that are smarter than you. You know, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. We've all heard that, right? Yeah. So you got to figure out a way to get in the room. And it seems when I think about the three of you in all your little pieces, if you will, your lanes, you guys have found a way to get in the room, you know, and maybe initially that room is just hanging out with dad and talking with him. Okay. All right. But you've been able to leverage that into other areas of success. And here you are coming together. And I don't want to be confused with our audience here. Talk to me about the company you're mentioning, you know, your family company, and how that is set up. I mean, as a outsider looking in, I kind of look at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have obviously an incredible amount of experience and success and what I would call success equity up here in your dad that's done a number of things. He's passed on certain things to you guys. It seems to me that, Cam, you've kind of forged your way into the real estate space. All right. Seems like Stan's forged his way into the AI technology space, which is a whole, I mean, that thing's changing daily, right? And then you've got Thad, who has been successful, and now he's kind of coming in the back door from an infrastructure standpoint and making sure everything's running, okay? And you got to have a guy like that. Otherwise, if you're all entrepreneurs, what happens? We'll all be broke in a year, right? All right, so you've got to have that guy who kind of watches things and keeps things in line. And it seems to me that's the piece that Thad brings to the table, along with marketing and whatnot, whether it's funnels and, you know, the whole shebang there and the course that you mentioned. I want to kind of transition a little bit if we could. And I'm going to get to you, Stan, first. When you take a look at your space and what you do for the company and how you're going to fit in and be a key piece here, what's really moved the ball the most for you? Maybe one or two things that you've done. I mean, a lot of people listening to this are saying, AI, I know AI, ChatGPT, whatever, you know. What's really taken it up and move the needle for you?
So subjectively and like objectively, two-part answer. I would say that one, continual self-improvement is the main thing. Me and you were just talking about this beforehand. I'm obsessed with biohacking, being efficient. Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week, constantly trying to automate and streamline more workflows. And ever since I read that book by Tim, I was always obsessed with the idea of creating a passive asset in a new landscape such as digital commerce. I mean, there's already, like Cam, the real estate path. There's already, you know, buying and selling a business, exiting it, whatever. But if I found a way to create a business, automate those roles, and then make that entire asset itself self-performing, and then I can go build another one and do the same, I thought that was the key to freedom, especially with staying on the cutting edge. And AI allows you to do that with all the tools that they're coming out with. Like you said, it's changing so freaking fast that it's almost a full-time job to make content about every new update and release that's posted. And yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right, or what I'm trying to learn is once we have our unit to the point where it's revenuing efficiently and on a lean basis, then, and those SOPs are standardized, then I can put those into workflows, automate the business, and then we can go continue doing that process of making the next project. But the second half to that question would be like a specific tactic that I've done. I remember back my origin story, I guess, for the AI 2 years ago, back when Thad and Cam were still considering coming on the company and it was all still new and risky with my dad. I was like, dang, these guys are already making 6 figures in corporate jobs. I just been coaching basketball. I'm not sure how I'm going to compete. What's going to be my value add? I'm literally talking into GPT saying, these are my skills. These are my aptitudes. What are creative ways I can be more productive than them? Because everything's a competition. But
I can imagine when you get together, what happens.
Usually me and Cam have to team up on Thad because Thad's usually just good at everything and it's annoying. But
Yes.
But yeah, that was really how I got into the AI. Was I became obsessed with finding a new space for myself to be better and be beneficial, and that led to me getting better at custom GPTs, meta prompting, and things like that. So that's the process I want to help other people with and translate into the company.
Awesome. Let me ask you one follow-up question. If you had to say one thing that would create leverage through AI, what would it be? The most important thing, the biggest impact, basically the simplest.
It would be to know how to prompt it in order to define your weaknesses and turn them into strengths, or at least having the things you don't want to do be operating on an automated basis so that the simple things are taken care of and you can focus on the high impact tasks for the day, putting all your energy, all your brain power towards that one big domino that has to be knocked over that's mission critical to your goal.
So give me an example on how you've done that.
So for every task that literally every task that I do with it on a daily basis, I have an individual project or ChatGPT thread, which I have trained through prompting that does a specific task, such as one on my social media. I've taught people how to create content just by through ideating. Like, for instance, I like to go on a walk every morning. That's when I'm doing my best thinking, my best ideating. I record myself just rapping about something I'm excited about that I think will help somebody else. And it might be 4 minutes of jumbled mess, but I can take this video, put it into a free software like Slack. It'll automatically transcribe it. And then I'll screenshot those transcriptions and put it into GPT. GPT will then break it down, understand it, and explain it better than I did in a more linear fashion. And then while it's doing that, it'll train the individual thread so that I don't have to write copy anymore. I don't have to come up with catchy hooks. I don't have to spend my time hacking other influencers within my niche to find the most viral content. All these mission critical tasks that I do on a daily basis are 10 times faster because I've already pre-trained a little employee brain to do it for me.
Awesome. And you know, in doing that, like you said, you create a tremendous amount of leverage and you're able to accomplish more in less time. And let's face it, most of us, we do what we do so we can do the big thing, right? We might have families, we might have a passion, whatever it is. I tell people, if your business is the main thing, you're in trouble. There's got to be more, okay? There's probably a reason that Cam wants to have a portfolio that's paying him $100,000 a month. Why? Because maybe he has this dream to own a place in Hawaii and be able to go there. Maybe, you know, take Thad golfing 4 months a year. Who knows? But there better be a bigger ideal, even if it's building a community center that can be self-funded, even if it's being able to feed 1,000 families in Western New York. There's got to be more, is what I'm saying. And I want to encourage you guys as you're building this legacy to figure out what that more is for you. Because if we're just doing this for money, believe me, there's a shallow victory that occurs. I've been there. Thad, I'm going to transition to you. And a lot of people would look at this and say, yeah, maybe Thad might be the most accomplished athlete. He might be this, but, what does he really do at the company? I mean, he's running the back. He's probably doing a lot of things that people don't see until something goes wrong, right? Okay. So talk to us a little bit about your zone of genius for this legacy company that you guys are building.
Yeah, essentially, as quickly as I could say it, it's project management. It's keeping people on task. It's not. I think a lot of people when you hear project management, it's like somebody being a tough guy trying to tell them you need this done by then or you're fired. And it's like there's so many different ways to communicate messages like that while keeping morale up. And like specifically right now, I'm talking about more like outsources. It's so easy to, get a great quote from an outsource and then have them miss a deadline, right? Because of poor communication. So a good project manager needs to be able to have that constant communication and ensure that these deadlines are going to be hit. And if not, the project manager needs to be like one of the first ones to be aware that they might miss a deadline. Why? Because if they miss this deadline, it might compromise this deadline. And that by doing that, it's affecting these people over here that are not directly working on this, but things have to happen in step-by-step format. My days as a project manager, which is what I was kind of basically doing at the vacation rental company, I was coordinating third-party vendors to make home renovations. And if anybody's had a home renovation,
good luck with that.
Exactly, right? It's a nightmare. People don't want to deal with vendors. So what they did, they'd hire me to deal with the vendors. And I had to cultivate relationships with these people to be like, hey, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, not only are you not going to get any more work from the company, right? But like our reputation is on the line as much as you. So I'm not even going to give you a shot unless you can convince me and promise me that you're going to be there when I need you. You pick up the phone when I call, and we'll work through this and we'll work together to get to the end of the project as good as we can. And I think it came from like one of our big philosophies at Acutus is a serve first mentality. And by that, I mean, you need to be able to serve your customer in the best way, in any way they need, right? Because if you can take the customer that you have and turn them into somebody that's like, wow, that was a phenomenal experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend to anybody. I mean, your business starts to grow itself at that point because people are not afraid to push you out to other people if they had a good experience. Now, if you are a contractor that makes an appointment and doesn't show up or doesn't communicate, people aren't going to. You might get a bad review at that point. So by serving first, you organically build your own business. And it's just a byproduct of good project management.
Two things. I'm reminded of a statement that I try to live by. I'm sure I fall short from time to time as well. But, if you want more success, if you want to make more money, just simply serve more people. Because the money comes to you. The success comes. And I love that you kind of lead with that service, because that's the key to success. Now, I do want to ask you, working with your brothers, being that guy, I got to believe from time to time there's some uncomfortable conversations you got to have with those two knuckleheads. Am I right?
I'll say
it's all good, right, Cam?
I'll say where his genius shines is this. He can push you hard without pissing you off. And that's right.
That's a talent.
Right, yeah, and that's right down to the checklist he made for me today that I still need to do.
I still have it up here on my computer.
So, Fred, each day Stan and Cam get a checklist from you. I love it.
Yeah, well, Stan hasn't earned his way into the checklist. That's just Cam right now. Cam needs a little bit more daily discipline, but we're working.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's face it, family dynamics, I mean, at the end of the day, you're building a company, and and you have not only you have each other that you want to, I guess measure up to, and there's probably some friendly competition that's important. It's essential in that dynamic of business. And then on the top of it, you probably, let's face it, you got to answer to dad, right? The three of you do. And from a logistics standpoint, it probably goes dad, Thad, and then to Stan and Cam, I would imagine. And that doesn't mean that any one of those pieces is less important, but that would probably, I would imagine, the flow of the company communication and what the expectations are and how that all looks. So the fact that you've been able to navigate that for 18 months, kudos to you, that you guys can still smile about it, because there's got to be a ball that you guys have your eyes on. And after I talked to Cam and kind of what's moved the needle the most for him, I want to get back to this, because I know that there's got to be something that you guys anchor into. So be thinking about that question, Thad and Stan. Cam, talk to me about, because obviously when we talk, success, and if we just want to look at the face value of what you guys have been able to do, you've been able to do something in 4 years that is pretty remarkable. It probably puts you in the top 10% of guys trying to do what you do. And I know you talked about the fact that you bought a property, moved into it, did the work yourself, and was able to get that sweat equity. You have a system of equity and asset, and you probably look at, projections of what that'll become. Let me ask you, single guy, I see you're a cat lover. I saw the cat earlier. You mentioned to me you're single and you move a lot because of the acquisition of real estate.
Sure.
What's made the difference for you? 90% of the 26-year-olds want to be chasing a skirt. You're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing, even before I dove in and started buying real estate, was I've always been money focused, reading many books on how to manage your money right, how to deploy it effectively. And real estate is kind of my extension of that. So it's not just managing your money right. It's, hey, if I don't have a snowball of capital, right, if I got a small base, how can I get the most out of that? And that's kind of what got me into real estate and into the system and the way I invest. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Was there more?
No. Let me ask you a follow up to that. What's been your biggest hit, your biggest secret that you've been able to, wow, boom, everything fell in line? Was there one particular property, or was it the slow play, multiple?
I would say it's just what you learn as you do it. I mean, the thing that gets me the most excited, right? I've always been driven by financial freedom, right? And real estate's kind of the vehicle I used to get there. And so what I love is, started at zero. Day one, when I bought my first house, it was at 500. A year later, it was at 900. And then I bought house number 2, so it went to 2,000. Then I bought house number 3, so it went to 4. Then and then house number 4, it went to 5. So it's like being able to see the snowball pick up speed, because just in 4 years, it's went from $500 a month is relatively insignificant, right? Like $500 a month, it might make a car payment for somebody, but it's not going to change your life. Right. $5,000 isn't there either. But you can start to see how it starts to make a bigger impact, and you start to see how it builds up in the account quicker to then buy your 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th house, right? So that snowball picks up speed. Seeing that happen is a ton of fun. And what, like you're saying, the kind of the long, slow game is kind of what's gotten me into it, because my first property, you have one property, everything that came up would be a big problem. It'd be very stressful, and then you would figure out how to deal with it. And so now that there's 4, essentially the same problems happen over and over again, right? You have different tenants with different faces, but like a toilet leak's a toilet leak, a roof leak's a roof leak, and you build your team and you figure it out as you go. And that's kind of been big for me, because if I had bought 4 properties day one, I would have drowned.
That's tough. Yeah.
It's been, yeah.
So you've been able to kind of on the job learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard you say, I've developed a team. I mean, do you have some systems in place where you have like perhaps 2 or 3 handymen that work with you, or do you still do all the work yourself?
No, so I actually, from day one, so I do a good amount of work in my houses, but I've had a trustworthy contractor since day one. But I have 3 contractors, 2 or 3 plumbers, 2 electricians. You got multiple people in multiple spaces. So you can, if one's out of town and you need someone to get there the next day, you can call your B guy if your A guy's not there.
Right.
And that has been helpful, but just over time, like just building systems on how to buy the property, how to vet it. Once you have it, what price to pay. Once you have the house and you bought it, okay, you got to put the right tenants in. How do you screen them? Okay, now that you have the right tenants in, how do you deal with uncomfortable conversations, right? So there's just been a lot of different, like each step, there's like another thing you need to solve. And so that kind of process with buying the property, putting the tenants in place and managing the property has gotten very refined, because again, you learn it all on your first house, and your second house, you're doing the same thing. You just have different tenants. Third house, you're doing the same thing. You just have different tenants. Awesome. And so I've gotten it down to a repeatable system that produces results with, it's a pretty replicatable, predictable thing. So it's exciting now, because now it's, not where I'm looking to, I'm not like hoping anything works out now. It's like, hey, I know what I'm going to do. Right. And I know exactly when I'm going to strike, how I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to execute it. So it's very, very comforting.
And success becomes predictable, right? Because you've
100%.
developed the steps. So now it becomes predictable. And that's when there's a certain level of security and peace, knowing that, hey, this is what happens. I do this. This is the result.
100, yeah, completely. Yeah. I mean, one thing that's fun too is like at 500, when I bought the first house, what was scary about that was it's nice. It's $500 a month. But if something goes wrong, if you got to replace a furnace, you're coming out of pocket. That's not enough. But now when there's 5,000, if a furnace goes, you can replace a furnace for less than a month of cash flow now. Sure. Right. So now it's enough coming in to be able to fix what breaks. And it's just, you just keep going.
Love it. Love it. Fantastic. And now, Thad, this might be a question for you. How do all these moving parts fit into the big company?
Yeah. So, I mean, what's great is that they're both they're establishing themselves very well in their own respective fields. And my dad is doing the same on his, or he will be very soon. Our social channels are pumping out kind of sneak peeks and stuff of what you'll see there. But eventually all of these are going to funnel towards the main mission of the company, which will be this product that we are going to sell. And it's, like for instance, with Stan he will be talking to people about AI and how to automate and make processes easier. But like Stan's also been working to build a digital human. That it can interface with people and teach them a skill set that they need in order to get to the next level. And the use case that this course will have will not just be a one-sided like specialist thing. It'll have implications in a lot of other applications in a lot of other fields. So when the time comes, they will have built a following from real estate, and Stan will have built it in AI and automation. And then these crowds will now have access, because they will have built the trust of their followers to see what we're doing. And that's where we'll make our pitch.
Love it. And are you at liberty at all to talk to us about exactly what this product or coaching program will be?
Yeah. So what we're building right now is, it's still not finalized. We're still trying to figure out like course A, course B, or if it's going to be one big thing. But the main idea is there is an opportunity out there created by the Jobs Act and through the power of social networking. When my dad, when he first got his big break as a stockbroker originally, in order to sell a product, he had to dial the phone, speak to somebody one-on-one. It was illegal to publicly advertise a private offering. Okay. So now, because of the Jobs Act, these people, entrepreneurs, small businesses, people looking to raise money for a real estate venture like fix and flip, they can go ahead and go to their social network, their warm people that trust them, that know that they can do what they do. Like, for instance, if Cam wanted to raise money and people know like Cam's next property is going to be a winner because he's already done it 4 times. He knows what he's doing. These people can have the opportunity to get in on it with him. And what our course is going to show people how to do is, before you even get to that spot where you have to raise money, which is optional, that's just one application of it. It will teach you how to share your opportunity, not sell it. Don't be a salesman, but show them how to get the message across as if it's like a gift giving affair, not a sale. Because when you get, how often when you get a phone call, you can sniff out a salesman like a million miles away, right? Like, you know when you're being pitched to. And the ability to get that message across without being like, I need your money, I want you to buy this from me. More so sharing the opportunity that you have, that, hey, I have this thing that's going to work, I'm going forward with it. I mean, obviously a little bit more eloquent than that, right?
Sure.
But that'll draw people to you in a way that you're serving them, because your product, like in Cam's example, he already knows what he's doing. So he's serving people by letting them have the opportunity to work with him and earn money on the back end of that.
No doubt. And I think it's, as you provide value, I mean, Gary Vee says it all the time. He says, value, 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 then talk about what you have to offer. And I think the beauty of what you guys are doing, and certainly you're smart in the inception. You've spent 18 months building value and serving. I mean, I look at Stan's videos every day. He's providing value to people out there. Okay. I'm excited about property number 6. I can't wait to, hear about it, because obviously there's value there. Okay. And certainly in a market that's not static, that's constantly changing, can be tricky, but yet you've been able to do that. Let me ask you one final question, and then I have got a piece of advice I want to ask you guys to give our listeners. Okay, because there's a lot of people who are at where you were at 18 months ago, or maybe they're 2 years in, 3 years in and struggling. Maybe a word of encouragement and a piece of advice. But before we get to that, let me ask you guys, what's the big dream? I know there's a course, and I know you got a company, and I know you report to Dad, and Dad's got an incredible track record of success in a number of areas that obviously he's passed on to the you 3. Okay. You guys wouldn't be doing what you're doing probably if it wasn't, Dad's influence. I got to believe it's been huge in your lives. That being said, what's the big dream of this company?
Stan, do you want me to go?
Yeah, sure. Figure. I mean, yeah, you're handling most of the questions.
So I'm going to answer it in a little bit more, like, for me, right? Like, financial freedom is always something that that's been drilled into our heads, and we are all seeking it. And I think any entrepreneur, they would say the same, right? Financial freedom is big.
Well, Thad, let me interrupt you, Thad. I want you to define financial freedom. That means a lot of different things to different people. What does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, so I think everybody has their own definition, because for me, it's not necessarily a number, but it's what it gives me the time to do. Like, I want control over my time, and I want to be able to coach my daughter and my son in all their sports coming up, right? I want to be able to, if we get a vacation for a week or two, I want to be able to go on that vacation and not have to worry about a business falling apart, or if I'm made my boss mad because I'm taking PTO, right? So it's like, I want the ability to make my decisions. Now for Cam, I know Cam had a monster goal for something way back when he was getting started on his properties. But so that would be more my, like, not like a company goal, but that's what, like, I'm going after. And why it means so much to me is, like, when I was working at Elliott, I had a great boss, I had a great general manager, but, like, even though I was doing well financially, it was like, I knew that all my efforts, even though I was making money, like, they're going into my boss's pocket. And I'm like, I want to be able to reap the rewards from what I do. And I think just kind of tying in, like, a few minutes ago, what we were talking about, like the family dynamic, the one big thing that I wanted to stress a little bit more was the dynamic of trust, because these two guys, I can trust them. They got my back and I got theirs, and they know it. You don't have to worry about a business deal going bad between us, because we're a tight-knit circle, and we are going to win. Failure is really not going to be an option with us. So that is something, and building something with them that is successful would just be ultra fulfilling for me.
That's awesome.
Can I piggyback off that a little bit?
Please go ahead, Stan.
I'll be brief, but with it being a family business and just the way we're raised, the family values, that's exactly just what Thad said about being in control of your time. Tim Ferriss talks about it all the time, the new rich. It's not necessarily the number or the money for sake of money or materialism. It's security. It's being able to prioritize the things that you want in your life, when you want, how you want, and being able to not only do that for yourself and your family, but through this process of promoting our business, helping other people do exactly the same thing. And that is really where the empowerment, I think, comes in, because you're helping other people, which just what's the word Dad always likes to say? There, brain fart. Don't know.
Good stuff. Cam, anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, I would say it's pretty much, my stance is pretty much in alignment with Thad's. I kind of look at it like tiers, but in terms of, like, my first thing, right? Why do you want to be financially free? Why do you want to, make a lot of money? Is like, I want to be able to put myself in the best position I can to be the best, father or husband that I can one day. And then, like, beyond that, like, I would say, to answer your question about defining financial freedom, is like, for me, it's when work is no longer an obligation, but an option, because that's the difference. You can love what you do, but then it hits different when you have to do it, as opposed to choosing to do it in spite of not needing to. And so that's kind of when I'll know that I've hit that goal and that precipice. But then once you hit that, you're kind of looking to just put more gas on the fire and go even farther. So I kind of look at it in multiple steps. But I would say work becoming an option as opposed to an obligation would be my big thing.
Love it. I think one of the greatest mind shifts we all can make, even when we just start out, is changing a simple word. And you've probably heard this phrase. You have to change it from have to get to. Yeah. The minute you do that, everything changes in terms of how success comes and how you look at what you're doing and whatever the space is. So, we're obviously talking about an entrepreneur mindset here. If you can make that shift from have to get to, everything shifts. In closing, we got a couple of minutes here. First of all, I want to thank you guys for your time. If I don't say it, I'm looking forward to watching you guys explode, because I'm telling you, these three, along with Dad, are going places. And I cannot wait to see this big company that grows and provides value And who knows what'll happen. You guys will probably be so big you'll never come talk to me again, but that's okay. I could say I talked to you when it was happening. All right. So let me ask you this, and any one of you can answer this question. What's a piece of advice? And we've given a lot of it, but I want to go back to the person who's just starting out. Maybe they don't know what they want to do, but they know they're made for more. Maybe there's somebody who's, I firmly believe that failures are just learning experiences that take us to ultimate success. But maybe they're at a space where things just aren't going well. They might be, they might have bought 2 houses and they both flopped. How can we encourage someone today who's getting started or struggling? What's your piece of advice for them?
So my big one, keeping it as simple as possible, this is kind of what helped me too, is find a mentor in the space that you want to succeed in, because they're going to help you get over what scares the hell out of you, right? I didn't take action for a long time until I found a mentor who gave me the courage to do so, because I knew if I fell flat on my face that I'd have him as a lifeline. So anybody that is either starting out or started out and it's not working out, I would say keep going, but find a mentor that can kind of guide you, that you trust.
Yeah. A guy I listen to quite often, Ed Milet, you guys probably know who he is, but he quotes this Chinese proverb all the time. And he says, if you want to get somewhere, talk to a person walking back from there. And that's what you're talking about, really. Having a mentor. If you don't have somebody that's where or that's done what you want to do, that you can pick their brain. And, in today's day and age, you can find all of this free out there in that internet world, right? We can find most podcasts, YouTube videos. We have access to more information and more virtual mentorship than at the history of any time in mankind. And you have the ability to tap into that. Thad, Stan, anything to add to what Cam said?
Yeah, I'll go, because I was very scared when I did it, right? Like I left a job where I was making over 130,000, and it's not like it's a good living. Like it was comfortable, but what you always worry about, like, oh, well, like, is this what I want for the rest of my life, or am I capable of more? And I'm 34, so I'm not young anymore, and I've seen enough.
Younger than me, brother.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen enough golfers through competition and professional competition, and enough like work people to know like kind of where I fall. And it just came down to like, I'm going to bet on myself now, because I know that if I go into this 100%, there's, I'm either going to be okay that it didn't work out because I gave it my all, but more often than not, I'm going to succeed because I'm not going to give up until I do it. Like my biggest regret is not continuing golf, because I did feel like I had the potential to do it, but I kind of got like a little crack in the armor and I gave up. It's my biggest regret. But what I've learned from that is I won't give up again. Like I believe if you keep going and you have the mindset, you'll get there. It's just a matter of time. The only way you can really lose is by quitting.
Wow. Great words. Stan, anything to add? The guy who goes last, he usually gets kind of messed up because they take all the good ones.
I was just going to say, I'm piggybacking off them. We talk a lot about psychological disadvantage, and one part of the module within my father's course is going to be mindset and overcoming those initial barriers that are self-limiting beliefs that you were talking to me about on our last lunch. And back to our family values, we really only had 2 rules growing up, and they were do your best, never quit. Whether it's basketball or basket weaving, no matter what it is in life, you give it 100%. If you're sick that day and you're only feeling 50%, then you give 100% of that 50%. It's the same way I coached. You got to remember your why you started in the first place, especially if you're going through that tough time. And you started probably because you loved what you were doing and you're looking to help others. Those 2 things alone can propel you forward and keep you going. And just this morning, somebody tracked me down off one of my YouTube videos, found me on Facebook, and we're talking at 5 a.m. for a free consultation. And that word I forgot earlier was reciprocity. The more you're willing to just give your best and pour your all into making somebody else's life better, the more you're going to improve your own.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, this has been an incredible 45, 46 minutes here, guys. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your information. Thank you for your time. I meant what I said. I'm really looking forward to seeing this legacy company that you guys are building. Here's what I know that I know. The people who listen to this will get 2, 3, 4, 5 things that they can apply tomorrow that will move their business forward. And for that, I thank you. Please send me all of your contact information. I want to drop it in the comments so people can reach out. They can follow you on socials and what have you. Thad, Stan, and Cam, thank you so much. You guys have been great. It's been an awesome time.
Blessed.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care, guys.
Bye.